All right, man. I want to start. I want to start.
Get into
I
it.
want to start. Man, I look. My friend pointed this out to me, and like he's been a little bit of a Debbie Downer. It's like, yeah, it was against Ipswich. Yeah, it was against Brentford. But like, Brentford can punch up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
But like the thing that I love the most about this Liverpool squad under Slot is is how dynamic the offense is. Like the problem with Klopp is that like Gegenpress is a little bit of a counterattack. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a counterattacking offensive style. And so what would happen a lot with Liverpool, especially against bad teams, by the way, this wasn't just good teams, this is bad teams. We would play a Brentford and we would be, 0-0 with 78 minutes in, and we would just be passing around the outside. You know what I mean? Just like waiting, trying to figure something out. And like you looked at this Liverpool squad and we were making dynamic. It looked like those old Real Madrid highlight videos of like one touch passes or like Barcelona. It looked like that, and it was so fun to watch. Man, I think Liverpool might be better under Artie Slot. Obviously, it's two games.
Yeah, I
You
was gonna say,
who knows? But like, I really think that we were lacking in a lot of dynamism. Jurgen Klopp did a good job of instilling a culture of success, instilling a dynasty of building it up. But he wasn't a very dynamic coach. He always rolled out the same 4-3-3 with the same everyone at the same positions. Well, Arnie Slot is just he has a little bit of that pet magician in him, a little bit
yeah,
of that pet alchemist. And you see the team, the way that they're moving the ball, I just fucking love it, man. And Gravenbach, and one last thing for me to gush over before I turn it over. I don't know if I texted you this. I texted this like 10 different people though. He's playing Diego Jota at the nine,
yeah.
and he's playing Diego Jota as a nine in a 4-2-3-1. Diego Jota kind of makes sense as a nine in like a 4-3-3 with a false nine. Like he kind of would play that role, basically like a less competent Messi. But
Mhm.
he is playing a full number nine role. Like he's been the same role that Weghorst is playing, but for Liverpool, and he's like 5'7", and he never played in the center under Klopp. Even like in our 2022 final against Real Madrid. Wait, it was 2022. Yeah. He played on the left, and Sadio Mane played in the middle as a striker. He was always on the left side, and putting him in the middle, he's kind of a good striker. Like he's kind of like he's not your typical striker, but like he kind of does the job very well. So that's kind of been a revelation, also. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this Liverpool squad? Besides hating it, of course.
I know. I mean, look, new manager, a lot of risks to that, but the foundations, like you mentioned, that Klopp left, the team he's left behind is so strong. I think it would be a struggle to. I think I always knew you guys were going to start good. My concern was never. It's how the season progresses. Like, let's say, hopefully, touch wood, Sunday we at least we beat you, if not hopefully, cause a bit of damage and some, knock you guys down a few pegs, hopefully. All it
Yeah.
takes is one dodgy result. All of a sudden it's new manager, maybe his ideas aren't working. So it's good that I knew you guys were going to start well. For me, it's around the February time as the season or post Christmas coming into the crunch period. Because it's the same squad you had last year. And you guys had a really good run last year. You guys were in the title race unexpectedly till about March, and then that's when the legs start falling off. So I'm expecting a little bit more of the same. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just, I said, other than the hate, I'm just like, shit, like, fuck. I was hoping I didn't think Ipswich were going to do any damage. I was hoping Brentford could sneak a draw maybe, but, first home game for the new manager, the crowd was always going to be up. Diaz is firing on all cylinders again, as he used to before when he first joined.
Can
Um,
I say something? I love like I obviously don't like to attribute it to this, but I think Luis Diaz's new haircut might be like 30% of the reason why.
I know hair transplant as well, eh?
So he has it dyed like greenish, and
Okay.
like it like he kind of looked a little bit autistic with his like former haircut last year, but now he looks like a fucking Colombian killer.
Oh, there you go. I mean, I remember when you lot signed him because Tottenham were heavy favourites and they'd potentially agreed to deal with. I think it was Porto he came from.
Yeah,
Porto. So Tottenham were in like long talks for about 40 million for it. You guys just came out of nowhere and just stole him right under their noses in January in
yeah.
2022. So I was like, shit. And he's been a revelation. He had a bit of a downturn in form, but that was due to the injuries he picked up at the time. But nah,
Uh,
you guys are always going to be a tough team this year. But I think the wheels will fall off at some point.
that's a song. It's we signed a lad from FC Porto, and when he scores, he dances with Diogo. He plays with Mane, Saleh, and Firmino. And when I forgot the last verse, but yeah,
I
that's
still I haven't heard the Zubamendi song the Scousers came up with when they thought they were signing him. It was really good. Like they thought Zubamendi was coming to Liverpool last week or a week and a half ago, and they'd
yeah.
already come up with a song only for him to go around, turn around and move and stay in Sociedad. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that upset about it. Like, I feel like we have that position covered.
yeah,
Like,
I think it's
what my
more.
friends pissed, and I'm like, I feel like like the one thing that's really working for Liverpool right now is the midfield. Like our defense has some problems, our offense has some problems, but the midfield is perfect. And it's like why, like at this point, if you add more talent, you kind of have a situation, like Real Madrid, right, where you have too much talent, right? And it's like everybody's getting their minutes, everybody's playing well, everything's going well. McAllister, Shabashly, Gravenbach, Endo. Like let's not screw it up. You know what I mean?
The reason I think, and I agree with your friend for the fact that I think it's going to be a long season. And I'm not wishing this on anyone; you never do. But Gavin Birch has had a history of injury concerns. I don't think he's ever played a full season match fit. So the
Yeah.
drop in quality from Gavin Birch to Endo, let's say if it happens halfway through the season, that's where you might have some issues. But so far, yeah, like I said, you're starting 11, absolute fire. Your midfield, for me, probably the best in the league. Maybe even eclipsing toe to toe with City. I would say actually, given that they still have De Bruyne,
Yeah.
they Gunda went back, and obviously Rodri's a beast.
But
Um,
that is City's thing is that they have the depth. Like
yeah,
City's top 11 is never the best, but their top 20 is better than everybody
I
else every
mean,
single
it's
year.
crazy. They've only ever worked with a squad of 24, 25 max, but every single person's a killer. And then you have Chelsea who have 7 goalkeepers, but really, even though they won 6-2 on the weekend, I think it's a false dawn. Um, they have a very good squad and eventually it will click, but I don't think now all of a sudden they're going to start winning all their games. They beat a very poor Wolves side 6-2, fair play, a lot of goals, but they could easily win 6-2 last week and lose 3-0 this week, depending on who they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea are still at a point where like they're gonna be one of those teams for a while where they can beat
Well,
anybody and lose to
yeah,
anybody.
there'll be
Like,
moments, yeah, there are moments kind of team. Yeah.
but like when they beat City last year, I think it was 2-0 or maybe it was 3-0. Those Jackson goals. Like I wasn't that surprised. It was like they have one of the most talented squads in the league. You know what I mean? Like why would you
I thought they drew both games.
did they? I
One was
thought
a
they won one of the
one was a
games.
crazy 4-4 draw, I think before Christmas. I think they drew 1-1 the reverse fixture.
It might have been a draw, and I just was so happy that like for me it was a win. You know what I mean? Like let me double check. Uh
Cole Palmer scored a couple of goals. He scored a very late penalty to make it 4-4, I believe.
um there was that Jackson goal. Am I thinking of the wrong game here?
Was it a cup game? Maybe they beat him in a cup or something.
No, I think you're right. I think I was just so excited by it that like it seemed like a win, because they dropped points.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
definitely
no,
dropped.
it was the 4-4 draw.
Yeah,
Nicholas Jackson had this goal that like it literally it's like a FIFA goal. You know what I mean? It's one of those goals that like you do pretty regularly in FIFA, but like you can't actually do in real life. Where like Raheem Sterling like moved on the right and then he played the through ball and then he did
I think I remember this.
the
Yeah,
cross. It's just like you can't actually do that in real life. Like the center backs are too smart, but. It
I'm
worked
not
that
asking,
time.
like, not asking about. If you play Harry Maguire, he's just gonna let you do whatever the fuck you want. You're gonna let the cross come in. He's not gonna clear it, even though every fucking fiber of your body tells you put your foot through it and clear it to row Z. He's just gonna let it come across goal, and then the rest is history. Fucking useless piece of shit.
I was thinking about Harry Maguire today. I forgot who it was. Like maybe it'll come back to me, but it was one of those like, uh, we were talking the other day where people were defending Harry Maguire because like, oh, he can score a lot of goals on
Doesn't
the,
doesn't
the
doesn't like
yeah.
he's only ever done it for England in one tournament where he scored a few headers back in 2018. You know what really irritates me the most? It's not that he makes the mistake because he is fucking shit. Like everyone knows this. Even his own mother knows. Listen, I raised a shithead. Like he's a shit football player. Like there's no hope for him.
Yeah.
When he makes the mistake and the goal goes in, he then turns around and starts pointing fingers at his teammates.
Yeah.
That's my like. I honestly don't know if I was like a Martinez or even a Mazraoui, I would just kick him in the face. Like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? You did that bullshit. We are
Yeah.
now down, and you have the gall, the audacity to fucking start pointing fingers. Like the cameras, I wonder if he goes back and watches these games, like ever hit, like what plays it back in his house, and is embarrassed by like, who am I, who am I blaming
Here's
here? So,
here's my defense of that. Already
oh,
here defense of that is
I mean,
that I think as you said, like everyone knows Harry Maguire's shit. Even Harry Maguire knows he's shit. And so he knows that like every day is borrowed time.
yeah,
Right. And so he needs to be able to blame every goal on somebody else in order to make it to the next week.
you
I
know,
mean,
he should have blamed honestly, and I would have respected this if he turned around and pointed to the manager, and goes, "Why the fuck are you playing me?" Guys to licked on the bench, sitting there wondering, what the fuck do I have to do to get into this starting lineup?
yeah.
Harry
Um,
White, if you turn around when the goal went in and he's pointing, if you turn around to the gaffer and be like, "You at the bench, you can't, you put me in here." No
this is
problem.
your
No,
fault.
you know what? Fair play. I am the
Yeah.
big Ten Hag supporter. That whole day, the whole game, he just threw it away from minute one, playing Maguire, playing Mount, playing Rashford. He didn't go there to win the game. And then taking off Bruno and bringing on McTominay. We need a goal. We're not holding a result. We need the fucking goal.
I think that like
I don't know
the
why.
Bruno McTominay thing is one of those things where somebody is so undervalued that they become overvalued. You know what I mean? Like McTominay, like because remember under Solskjaer, he was riding the bench the entire time.
Yeah.
And he finally got his chance, and now everyone is so up on McTominay that like you get delusional enough to believe that you can replace
You know,
Bruno Fernandes with McTominay.
what saved him was last year because we had a terrible year, but there was a game against Nottingham Forest where he got a last minute winner. We were 1-0 down against Brentford at home, and I believe in the 90th minute to the 96th minute, he scored 2 goals. That was like he became like this,
That's the
like
thing, though,
Solskjaer.
is that like it's flashes of brilliance, but you're not gonna you can't depend on it. You can't put a guy in to be like,
Yeah,
oh, do that one thing you did only one time out of 100 games. It's like ridiculous.
it's insane.
Having hope as a strategy, it doesn't make any sense.
Insane. And now look, we've just signed Manuel Ugarte today, which is great fucking news. He's good replacement for Casemiro. I guarantee you Casemiro plays the next 3-4 games, even though we have the replacement there.
Yeah.
He's because Ten Hag has this weird thing where it's like, all right, this player's playing for my team. I want someone better. Oh, the club is now buying said better person. I can't just replace him because it might upset the shit player that I'm using right now. I'll wait for the shit player to make us another mistake because he will cost us more points in a tough league, and then I can justify bringing in the guy that should have been playing the whole fucking time. Like,
Yeah.
grow a fucking pair. Come on.
Yeah, so I was talking about this in my group chat today about delete, and I have a friend who's a Juventus fan, and he made the argument about delete where he said that it's a continuity issue where like with the defense you need to have more continuity than you
Yeah,
can with like offense.
100%.
However, like I see the point, but the counter to that point is that like yeah, it's continuity, but it's continuity of a shit player.
No, so
Like, continuity.
How does continuity? You have to start somewhere if you want continuity. So play De Ligt against Brighton, against Fulham, because he had just signed. We only had about 5 days, I believe. Him and Mazraoui was fit to start, and because it was that much of an emergency. We had no left back. Dallo had to play left back. We'd sold Wan-Bissaka. All right, put Mazraoui in. Great game, solid. Even against Brighton, he looked decent, looks solid, looks ready. De Ligt for me is the more talented player in that particular position of centre back than Mazraoui is as a wing back at the moment or fullback.
Yeah.
Put him in. He's made for this. He went to the Euros. He didn't play for Holland, but he stayed there and he trained. He's now trained at Bayern Munich preseason. He's come to us now. He's been there for a week. Put him in against Brighton away is tough. Put him in at half time.
Yeah.
He brought him on with 10 minutes to go.
It makes no sense.
Damage is already done. Unless we're winning the game, like we were at Fulham, I don't understand what he's doing. So now against Liverpool, if Maguire starts, you really have
unless you're winning, you should never put a center back in past 75 minutes. That makes no sense.
Unless it's like an absolute last minute and it is someone who can maybe pop up with a goal. Fair enough. Maguire's not that guy, but yeah. So for me, De Ligt has to start for Liverpool against Liverpool. Garnacho has to start ahead of Rashford, which he won't do. For some reason, I don't know what Rashford's got on him. If he's got some dirt on the gaffer, I don't know if there's pressure coming from above at boardroom level. Rashford is useless. He brought nothing to the table.
The problem with Ten Hag is he's just unable to make bold moves. And the problem is that the moves that he needs to make aren't even bold moves. They're moves that the fans defend him on.
Like defending, the stats are backing it because obviously every club has fan favorites. Sometimes you want a player to play that maybe doesn't suit the manager's style. Best example is Donny van de Beek under Solskjaer. We signed him and I was thinking, this is unbelievable. This is a real fucking ball player. Solskjaer didn't really take to him and didn't really use him as much, even though I think he would have been good.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But when clearly the stats and everyone's crying, the game is literally crying out for this replacement. Now, Casemiro will play on Sunday, which is, again, is a huge fucking mistake. We have Ugarte in. He can train 2-3 times this week before he plays against you lot. He's had a preseason at PSG, even though he hasn't been playing their matches. Just get him in. Oh, sorry, 1 second. This fucking fly over here. Hold on. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, now I have to kill this thing. How do I kill this thing? Touched me. Ugh. Sorry, Paul. Give me 1 second. I'm at war here. 1 second.
No worries. I'm being glared at by an angry Latina right now. ¿Qué? Él no está novio. Él está mi amigo. Vas.
No.
Vas.
No,
All right, we're good. I killed it. We are good.
All right.
Piece of shit. So yeah, that's my run on Maguire. Let's see how the lineup we have on Sunday. But if there is a guard up there and he's listening to me, please, Ugarte, Garnacho, De Ligt, please, in the team, please.
I mean, legitimately, like I don't mean to be a dick, but like, do you really think that you guys are winning on Sunday?
I think so. Because it's at Old Trafford and we need a result. I think it'll be very difficult. We'll suffer for sure. But I think we can grind out a one goal advantage, maybe whether it's 2-1, 3-2, or 1-0 or something. I don't see you lot not scoring, so a 1-0 seems extremely unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, our offense is, again, it's just been 2 games, but like our offense has always sputtered against bad teams, so I do feel like there's a suitable comparison.
Nice.
And so, like, you know, like, it is dynamic. It is, Mo Salah is playing at the top of his game right now. Artie Slot is making the bold decision of sitting Darwin Nunez, which
I wanted to ask you about that because no one else is. If this is Man United, it'd be news headlines everywhere. He hasn't played him for a single minute, has he?
I think he's come on as a sub, but he hasn't started.
Okay.
And like the funny thing is that had he done that to Darwin Nunez mid-January of last year, it would have been like Liverpool would have just been like, thank you. Sort of like you with Maguire. But like over the past year, Darwin Nunez has been performing. But
Yeah,
like Artie Slash is making bold decisions, and like you gotta respect him. He's basically being the anti-Ten Hag right now. Like he is like the so the funny thing about Jota, just like go back on it, is that like Jota is one of the players. I'm trying to think of a good comparison for this with another team, but basically, like the fans, the fans love him more than most other players.
yeah,
However, the fans also realize that he's not as good as our love for him. You know what I mean? Like we love him to death, but we also know that he doesn't actually deserve that love. But the fact that he's getting all these minutes, it's kind of like seeing like your retarded son, get into Harvard. You're just
yeah.
like, well,
How
I didn't expect that, but
yeah,
great job. I don't mean to disrespect Diego Jota like that, but
like
so all that to say, the Liverpool fans are really happy with the way things are going right now. Like our front four is killer.
yeah.
I really like. I hate to be a dick, but I really don't think you guys are like kind of stand a chance against us this weekend.
I love
Like,
that. I love it when the fans say that because those are the games where you don't think, or the rival fan thinks, oh, there's no chance, and then the big surprise. Man United Liverpool is the one game in the calendar fixtures. Doesn't matter who else plays. Form is not even a thing. You have the most informed team going in versus an out of form team, and usually the out of form team gets a result for some reason in these games. It happened when I was growing up when we used to play you lot under Gerard Houllier. We'd be the top dogs, and somehow you lot would beat us, or even under
yeah.
Benitez for a while. So it's form it goes out of this fixture. This is purely a one-off twice a year.
So here's one question I have, and like I hope I'm not being a dick about this,
Oh no, true, true.
but like so I feel like up until 3-4 years ago there was the top four and it was unbreakable. I think there's some stat that like in 20 years like only two teams have ever broken into the top four. It's always been like us, and then like obviously like we fell out for 1 year, but like it seemed that like Man U kind of gave up its place to that top four a little bit over the past like couple of years.
Oh,
Like
sure.
even though you got in the Champions League last year, like it kind of felt like you snuck in. Do you feel that like this year and next year you guys are gonna like reclaim that top four spot of like every because to give an example, right? Like last year when Liverpool didn't qualify, it was the thing.
Yeah.
No one was like, oh, like I'm surprised. No one's like, oh, I'm not surprised. Everyone was like, this is Liverpool's spot, and we gave it up to Newcastle, right? Do you feel and when we qualified last year, it was like, okay, cool. Well, it makes sense. They're back in the top four. That's their spot. Do you think that ManU is going to reclaim that top four spot this year?
After the transfer business we've done, and if as long as the right decisions get made moving forward, I don't see why we don't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets now Arsenal were a powerhouse the last 2 years. Prior to that, they hadn't qualified for the Champions League since 2018.
Yeah.
So it changes very quickly in football. It could be years of mediocrity and then a couple. If you get the right decisions right over the course of 2, 3 transfer windows and really get the right people in, and we have the right manager in, things can change very quickly. I believe Ten Hag is the right manager. I don't know if he's doing some weird thing, like if it's a political thing where he wanted to send a message to the hierarchy with his selections against Brighton and potentially like through the 3 points to prove a point. But Agate coming in now, and if you look at our summer business, we've killed it in terms of the incomings. Outgoings, we haven't sold anywhere near the number of players that need to fuck off,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I'd rather have it that way than have all the outgoings gone and no incomes coming in, which could easily something happen in the Glazer regime. So you've
Yeah.
got 6 top quality signings come in. We should be going for top 4 should be our thing. Yeah, to answer your question.
Then you're basically dormant.
It's it's insane, honestly. Like under the Glazers, like Ineos have come in. It's their first window, and as much as I wanted more players sold, like Lindelof, Maguire, Anthony, even if we've Hannibal Medri just got sold today. If we can get McTominay's gone now. If we can get Sancho out as well,
Yeah.
not bad, not bad. We've still got a bit of deadwood left in there, but not bad. Of the 6, 7 players I wanted sold, 3, 4 got sold. We can get rid of the rest by next year. A lot of their contracts running out. But the big thing is we got a lot of top, young, hungry priority signings through the door. Manager now has to fucking play them. We got you the players, fucking use it.
Yeah. I feel like you guys need, in order to like reestablish yourselves in the top four, I feel like you kind of want at least a 10-point gap between you and five. Maybe that means coming in third. But like I think if you sneak it in, like there'll still be a lot of questions at the end of the year. But if you could do like a good 10-point gap, then I feel like it's like, look, we're back, guys. Just shut
I,
up.
I think the nature of the league is very difficult where you have now potentially with Tottenham and Chelsea and Villa and now Newcastle, you really have a top 8 kind of situation
Yeah,
where
which is good.
it's great for the league in terms of competition. It's obviously stressful for United fans. City don't give a fuck. Arsenal, City, and even you guys are so far ahead. You don't. It's like best of the rest kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it makes it exciting, which is great. It makes everyone raise their game, keeps the season interesting. But
But
I
that's what
think
I think
you're not going to get a 10
about the
point
10-point
gap.
gap.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get a 10 point gap between fourth and fifth moving forward, the way things are going, because the money's so good in the league that these
Yeah.
these ex mid table teams like your Spurs, your Villas, your Newcastles, and obviously Newcastle have money through that crazy takeover. They're the richest club in the world. You're
Although they
gonna,
haven't spent any money, weirdly. Like
I
their
think,
biggest signing
I
is
think,
Trippier.
I think the combination of one, obviously that Premier League profit sustainability rules. Like if Newcastle had been bought out 10 years ago, I don't think they would have had an issue splashing the cash as much as they do now. And
Yeah.
two, I still don't think they trust Eddie Howe as a manager. I think they're still kind of seeing how he does. If he doesn't get top 4 this year, I think or wins at least a trophy, a cup, either or ideally both for them. I think his job's under serious threat. I think there's people out there that'll be looking at. I could come at Newcastle, buy a couple players, and I could get these guys in comfortably in the
I
top.
I actually kind of have a different perspective on it. Where like the weird thing about European sports versus American sports is that there's always a lot of geopolitics involved,
Mhm.
obviously, because and I think like my sort of like larger geopolitical take is that Saudi Arabia as a country, I think that they are kind of in a position where like to make an analogy, they're kind of like a nerd in high school who turns out to be really good at football, but is
Yeah.
still a nerd at heart,
Mhm.
right? It's trying to leverage that football ability to now be one of the cool kids.
Right.
For Saudi Arabia, it's the money, right? And like what they're trying to do is like, you know, they still have their chess club friends, which is, the rest of the Middle East, and they're trying to like keep them at bay. And so
Yeah.
I think that Saudi Arabia is buying Newcastle. People call it sports washing, obviously, but like I think that from their perspective, this is a PR play. And if they come in like Man City did, or like PSG did, and just start buying up a lot of stuff, then people are going to start hating on them the same way that people hate on
That's sick.
Qatar
I like that.
and Dubai. And I think the Newcastle, like Saudi Arabia, is like, look, Newcastle is a storied city in England, a storied franchise.
Yep.
We want to come in and add value, but not take too many daggers. We want English people to like Saudi Arabia. I think that is the whole point of the
Yeah,
investment.
yeah, honestly, yeah, that's a fair shout. Yeah.
Because like I was expecting them to do the PSG thing. I think everybody was, and
Yeah.
they're just refusing to do it. And like I feel like there has to be another motivation. And like if you look at just sort of like general the way that Saudi Arabia has been acting in the world with MBS, he very much wants to be, at the cool kid table with the United States, with England. He wants to be like, look, I'm not in the Middle East. I'm in Europe.
Yeah.
And he's Saudi Arabia, not to talk too much about politics, but they basically have kind of turned into, like so like two of the countries that always there are three countries that always ride with America: England, Poland, and Israel. Like those three countries, whatever America wants to do, those three countries are down. And Saudi Arabia is kind of turning into that fourth, the fourth team on the squad. Like for example, when Iran recently attacked Israel,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia sent jets to protect Israel, which if you think about it is
It's
fucking
crazy.
crazy,
Yeah.
right? And so like anyway, like not to talk too much about politics, but I just think that like this I think the Newcastle thing is more of a geopolitical play than it is a
That's a great take.
specific.
I didn't even see it from that angle. That's a brilliant take. I really enjoyed listening to that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that we might see them like tiptoeing and still building out Newcastle in a good way because Newcastle 2 years ago had a great season.
Yeah.
You know,
They just had a bad. They've had some really crucial injuries to some really bad injuries to some really crucial people. Like Sven Botman was one of the top 3-4 defenders in the league before he had that really bad injury on his. I think it's ACL he did or something. So when he comes back, they've got Bruno Guimaraes, they've got Isaac up top. Nick Pope in goal's been injured for a while. He's coming back into it. So I think once they're up and running again, I don't really rate Eddie Howe as a manager, if I'm being honest, top tier manager. So maybe that's my own bias coming in. But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not blown away by him either. Um, okay, so like the reason why I kind of asked about that 10 point gap thing, like I think that you guys kind of need to finish in third because you just kind of struck on it like inadvertently a little bit earlier where you said like it's the 8 teams. Obviously, there's Arsenal, City, and Liverpool. The front. Like I'm just kind of wondering like what do you need for other teams' fans to say? Obviously, it's ManU. To put in that category. And I feel like a finish in second, and just definitive, stamp
Um,
on the season.
it's funny because we've actually we finished third 2 years ago when we qualified. We actually finished third. Newcastle finished fourth.
Yeah, they stole our
And
spot.
for a brief stint in that season when we beat City at Old Trafford and we obviously beat Arsenal early in the year, we were kind of people saying, "Oh, is this like kind of the start of a bit of a title race?" Or United kind of in it. We weren't never really. It was between City and Arsenal. We were just kind of third
Yeah.
wheeling little bits
Well, it
in the.
was between City and City.
Well, yeah, really, yeah, yeah. Arsenal,
Realistic.
Arsenal bottled it as they always do, bloody bottled.
Yeah.
But and then a couple of seasons ago, I believe in 2021, we finished second actually when Solskjaer was the manager. But it was we were so far behind City, like it was, and Liverpool had so many injuries. It didn't.
Yeah.
We finished second. It didn't feel like we'd stamped our authority, if you know what I mean. And then the
Yeah.
next Solskjaer got sacked by Christmas, and the rest was history. So I'm not too concerned about what other teams' opinions of us. I prefer more like, do I see a progress? Style of play, results? Do I feel, what's funny? Even though we lost to Brighton and there were some fucking horrendous mistakes and decisions, there were large parts of that game, especially in the first half, where they couldn't play through us. Like we looked solid in
Yeah.
this formation. He's got this weird, like, two false nines, a square in the midfield, and out wingers. I'm not the biggest fan, but we were playing some nice, intricate stuff between our players, and I was like, you know what? Like last season, they would have cut right through us, and it would have been just us hanging on. We had our moments and we let the games go away more than.
I remember there was a Champions League game against Atalanta
Oh,
with
you know
Cristiano
that?
Ronaldo.
Yeah,
That
scored.
was
Yeah. I remember that
the
because Lingard got a little touch and rolled it off, and Ronaldo came in at back post and just fucking slotted it in.
yeah,
This minute. I was I
they
was in
sliced
Vancouver.
you up that game.
Yeah, and see even things like that. We were in the Champions League, but we were struggling, and even last year it was fucking embarrassing. Onana's absolute blunders. It was so even when we make it there, it's not so much of just the position and getting third or getting in the Champions League again. It's do we play or do we have that confidence that we belong there? That
Yeah.
comes with, like you said, consistency. If we miss out on Champions League every other year, we only make it once every 2-3 years. You're not going to be. You need to have that consistency of even if you only get to that, maybe last 16 or the quarterfinals, but being in the groups of the Champions League for 3 or 4 years consistently gets you those players that experience and that know-how. It's a consistency thing.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Tottenham this year?
Tottenham for me are the same as they're going to be as they were last year. They're probably going to be one of the best teams to watch for entertainment because they're gonna play Ange ball, which is just going to be high pressing, high line. They'll score a lot of goals, but they'll drop points for sure. I mean, they beat a very poor Everton side 4-0, and good for them. Like they've woken up. And against
Yeah.
Leicester, they were dominant for a lot of parts of the game, but then Leicester scored. Jamie Vardy, I love it. Can't keep a good man down. So it's glad
Yeah.
to see him back in the league. But I think Tottenham will probably finish around the sixth mark, I reckon. I don't see them finishing above United. And this isn't the bias, but I just think with our team and our structure and the way our manager plays versus theirs, not that it's a knock on Ange Postecoglou, he just takes a lot more risks. I think that's in a league like ours, you're going to get caught out more often than not.
So do you see the league at the season ending the way that we kind of all see it with City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man U, Tottenham, Villa,
Yeah,
you know,
Newcastle. I still don't know where Chelsea fit in this. I reckon. See, for me, I reckon top five are those five that you said. I think Spurs will sneak in there, and then from sixth to eighth, it could be in any particular form: Villa, Chelsea, Newcastle. That's like the top eight are kind of the top eight. It's just the order in which from fourth to eighth you're going to see.
The thing
So,
about Chelsea is I feel like they're one good manager away from being probably the best team in the league.
I mean, this. I mean, look at their squad; it's unbelievable. Like every
Yeah.
player. Someone was telling me about Pedro Neto's a great signing. The only issue with Neto has always been injuries, but when you have 10 other wingers on the bench, you don't have that stress of if he gets injured. Let him keep playing. There's lots of talks tonight of Sancho and Sterling being swapped. So we give them Sancho and they give us Sterling. Now, if Sterling takes a huge pay cut, he's on 325k a week at Chelsea. If he's happy to take 120 to 150, even 150 a week at United, fuck it. Give him to us. We could use a little bit of experience and know-how. And nothing would make me happier than signing Sterling. He plays on Sunday, some part, and scores a winning goal against you lot. Like nothing would make me happier. And it's been done before. Michael Owen signed for us, and he scored the winner against Man City in a crazy 4-3 game. So
Yeah,
these guys are there to do it.
Sterling, I always rate Sterling because he I think speed is just one of those things that speed, you can't do it on speed alone, but speed gives you a lot of advantages and it really allows you to,
Stretch the team. Yeah.
destroy the other team in a way where it's just demoralizing because the center back and the right back just can't catch up to you. There's literally nothing that they can do. There's nothing that can be done to stop you if you are that fast. It's kind of what we have for Mo Salah. You know what I mean? Like when he breaks,
yeah, it's devastating.
What are you doing?
Devastating.
Like, what are you doing?
I mean, Rashford has been so poor in these first two games. If you'd asked me a week ago, Sterling, 30 years old, coming to United, 150k, I'm like, no, fuck it, never. But Rashford has been so poor down the left, and we have Garnacho. Yeah. I would actually rather Garnacho watch Sterling, have him in the training with him, and learn from someone who's won the league fucking 4 times and got the t-shirt and wore it.
Yeah.
And someone like Rashford, who's had a couple decent seasons, never really won any of the big trophies, and tends to sulk like a little bitch every other season. So
he hasn't won any. I mean, yeah, he's won a
Mickey
couple
Mouse Cups. Mickey Mouse Cups at best. Like nothing of real pedigree for a club like United.
By the way, just reminded me. Speaking of fire Chelsea coaches, which is like half the coaches, in the league.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, no, Puck. We haven't spoken about that. What are your thoughts? And then I'll talk about mine.
A lot of people are laughing here in the UK. A lot of my friends are saying, look how far he's fallen. I think it's a shrewd move because especially because you lot are hosting the next World Cup. I think if he can get you lot playing in a good way, then the thing is, Poch teams always need to have good legs, need to be able to run up and down. The USA men's team has that in abundance. You guys are athletes.
Yeah.
If he can just coach the tactics into your team, I'm not saying you're not going to win it, but I reckon nothing like a quarter. I wouldn't be shocked by a quarterfinal appearance, depending on the luck of the draw for you lot, for sure.
I mean, we definitely have the talent to get to the quarterfinals. Christian Pulisic is 25 right now, so he's going to be 27, which is.
I really like Anthony Robinson, the left back that plays for Fulham. I'm a big fan of his.
I'll be honest. Like, it seems weird to say this, but like, I would watch a Team USA game or two, and like, if we win, you'll see some great football. If we lose, it's gonna be pretty shitty. But like, if we win, you'll see some actual. Like, we actually have a lot of players on that squad. I completely agree. I mean, like, we have the guns to get to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. We lost to the Netherlands last time. I think in the octafinals or like the round of 16 or whatever it's called. But like we were going up against Argentina in that round anyway, so we would have lost. We obviously can't compete with like Argentina, Brazil, like those types of teams, but like we can beat Netherlands. Like we didn't, but we can. We have the squad. Like what I think is good about it, both from the perspective of Team USA and from the perspective of Pochettino, is that like from the perspective of USA, we've kind of talked about this. Like there aren't a lot of good coaches in national football. Like there just aren't. And so if you have a good coach you will just perform a lot better than every other squad because you just have it's kind of like what what happens a lot with the NBA is that an NBA player will like after retirement go to China. You know what I mean? Like a EPL coach going into international football is kind of like an NBA player going to China. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter if you're at the bottom of the NBA, you're still at the top of the Chinese league. And I feel like that's what it's like with international football right now. And then from perspective of Pochettino, like people really care about headlines and people don't really care about context that much. And
Yeah.
so if he brings the US men's team to the quarterfinals or maybe even to the semifinals, like semifinals is a stretch, but I think it's still possible. Like now he's in contention for another big job again.
That's I think. I think this will be a good way for him to come back. Because I think club football, you can get down into like a bit of a rut where you go from club to club and it just doesn't work out in a weird way. So PSG, Chelsea, just just not the right spots. You do a good job with the international team, you kind of get your pick of jobs again, and then you can really navigate. You get that confidence back. You get a good run of form going. So I really hope. I've always wanted the USA to do well, especially if you guys are hosting. I plan on hopefully living in the US by then, so it'll be nice to catch games,
Yeah.
the atmosphere in the country. But especially for someone like Poch, because he's so young still, like he can't just end it now on international. He was definitely gonna be back in club football. So you're hoping that. I mean, Louis Van Gaal, 2014, he done it with the Netherlands, got to the semis, lost, got the United job because he did such a good thing, such a good job in international football.
Yeah.
So
The one big issue for Pac is Gio. And Pochettino is not that great with like personalities. Like you saw that with PSG. Like that's really what kind of sank him. And Gio Reyna is just like a fucking time bomb, man. Like the guy is just, him, his family, the whole situation can really blow that whole thing up. And I think it's really up to Kristen Pulisic to pull him aside and be like, hey,
I was
we have
gonna
a
say,
chance
yeah,
to actually do
the other,
something.
the
Like,
other, the other, the other guys in the locker room should be able to be like, listen, now it's a fresh start. You whatever happened to the previous gaffer, whatever is whatever. But now we have a good coach in here, world-renowned coach. You can't fuck around like this now. Like this, they should take. Sometimes they always say, "Oh, the manager should," but I think when you have a dress room, all adults, they should sometimes pull him aside, other players, and be like, "Look, fucking,
yeah.
you're fucking it up for all of us now here."
Yeah, and that is the question. Like the big concern is the personality management because we also have Weston McKinney who could really be like a wild person.
Really?
Yeah, he kind of has a little bit of a reputation as like going off the reservation a little bit. So, that is the big concern. But I'm excited, man. As a Team USA fan, like I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to have a real coach. Like Kristen Pulisic is a really good footballer. I'm sorry. Like I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna defend
Yeah,
that position. Like
his Achilles has always been like always bad. Yeah, Achilles heel has always been like his injury record, literally. Like that's his problem. Other than that, the talent's always been there. We saw it at Dortmund. We saw flashes of it at Chelsea. I
yeah,
mean, it's funny if you think about it. The US team men's team coach is miles ahead of the England coach right now. Even if it was still Southgate, but like the interim coach Lee Carsley, the old under 21s coach, you lot have
yeah.
a miles better coach than us now, which is nuts. Who
I
would have thought
mean,
in football?
we kind of have the best coach in international football right now. Like who's better than
You have
Pochettino?
to give it to the Spanish coach because he just won the Euros and he did it
That's
in a
true.
very
Yeah.
interesting way. I mean, I'd say your coach is probably top five in international management right now, comfortably, based
Yeah.
on
I
the team.
I I, I mean, let's let's put this thought experiment, right? Like, let's say like the Man City job opens and they're like, we're gonna hire an international coach. Like who gets that job before Pochettino?
Not many.
Like, yeah, maybe the Spanish coach, but again, you just referred to him as the Spanish coach, not
De La Fuente, something De La Fuente is his name.
exactly.
I should know. As the coach of the team that whooped my team in the final, I should know his name. Maybe
no,
I choose
no,
not to. Like,
I'm not telling you. I'm not doing that to rag on you. I'm doing that to
yeah, no,
like
yeah,
prove
yeah,
the
yeah.
guy's not. He's not like that famous.
Nagelsmann at Germany, he's a good coach. He's
Oh,
young.
that's true. Nagelsmann is probably the best coach. Yeah.
Coach, shit, Portuguese coach, not really. Italy coach. Yeah, I mean, Italy did a very poor showing at the Euros. I don't think anyone would be too fond of. Who is their coach, actually? Is it still Mancini? Who's the Italy coach? not too sure.
But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that USA football rides again. You know,
Oh, it'll
uh,
be very exciting. We'll be keeping. We always keep one eye. I always keep one eye on the results, but I'll actually be like watching performances now, seeing how Poch sort of navigates international management as opposed to club. Because, like I said, club can be so in your face day to day, especially the media in England. They're so ruthless. So it
yeah,
drags you down. Whereas international, you only got a
and
couple
PSG too.
and PSG as well, which is ruthless. So a team like the USA, where there's expectations, but you're going to get some leeway, and there's going to be a lot of support for you as well. Everyone's rooting for you to win. Like it's only a win-win, really, in his case. Like only hopefully good things can come out of this for both sides.
Also, this is actually a little bit of a controversial opinion, but like I actually think that the USA fans are actually some of the smartest international football fans. And the reason why is because like to be an England fan is just like, like everybody in England's an England fan, but like the people who
Not
actually follow
everyone.
USA
Not everyone,
football,
to be fair. I know people that actually outright do not support. Sorry to interrupt you. Don't
yeah,
support
yeah,
England.
yeah.
Just the
But like everyone in England, like if you're a guy in your 20s, you follow football, like at least a little bit, right? But like the people in America who follow football actually follow it and actually know a lot about it because otherwise you'd be following the NFL or the NBA. You know what I mean? Like you have to be an actual sports obsessive in America to follow
Do
football.
you feel that because of the like global reputation of like Americans don't know football, that sort of tag that's been going on for a while now. So if you're a USA football fan, do you feel like you have to like read up twice as much as the average European just to make sure you can compete? Because honestly, I'm just saying this as a fan of the NFL. I know
Yeah,
I still don't know diddly squat compared to how much I want to know, but I go above and beyond to like find articles, like learn shit because I want to be able to converse with you guys on a level where it's not like, oh, he still doesn't know he's trying too much, or where it's like, oh, these are my peers. Do you feel like
yeah,
your guys were like enough American, like put it this way, American coaches, Jesse Marsh at Leeds, we had Chris Armas at United as an assistant to Ralph Ranier. They used to
yeah,
call him Ted Lasso behind his back, some of the players. So that lack of respect, which isn't fair, it's not right because everyone's trying. If we tried to play,
yeah,
it would be a laughing stock compared to your lot's teams. So do
yeah.
you feel like there's that little bit of like, because it's an American thing, you're like, oh, we need to make sure we know our shit because these fuckers think we don't know anything.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that plays a part of it. I just also fundamentally think that like it's one of those things where like if you're going to be the type of person who seeks out, like for example, like have you heard of Magic the Gathering?
Oh yeah, for sure. AJ plays it all the time. Our friend AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves
So
that.
like, so like if you are into Magic the Gathering, you know Magic the Gathering. Like no one's a casual Magic the Gathering fan. You know what I mean? Because like in order to get into it, in order to have any knowledge of it, you have to really be ensconced in it. And that's kind of my feel like of sports in America, football is like the Magic the Gathering of sports in America. Because there is like if you think about the sports hierarchy in America, right? It goes NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA,
Really?
baseball,
Is that low?
hockey,
Wow.
like it is like soccer's really at the bottom.
Of
Oh,
course.
NASCAR also is
Yeah, yeah,
there
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because again, like there are a lot of people who casually follow NASCAR because if you're in a family in a group that is into NASCAR, you follow it. There's no such thing as like a community in America in like Nashua where like everyone's into soccer. So like you know what I mean. So like I feel like that's why American fans are really into it. But like uh I just really want us to get a good result because for me like I think that like if America performs well, more Americans will follow soccer, and then what will happen is soccer will gain prominence in America, and then
Mm.
eventually, hopefully in 20 years, prodigies are going into soccer and not into football, and then we can win the World Cup every single fucking year.
Honestly, it does work like that to a degree. Just the only thing is time in it. Like you said, it takes time for it to assimilate and for it to gain the popularity. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just with the population, just the demographics of the US, and once you guys decide you like something, like it's only a matter of time before you end up being top dogs in that sport. And
Yeah.
what's scary as an England fan is even as we speak, I don't think England have ever beaten you at a World Cup. It's always been a draw. So if we can't beat you fuckers now, time if you don't get your shit together.
Yeah, that's true. Is there anything else we haven't covered?
Predictions Sunday. What do you think?
Oh yeah,
Just
I
there's only one game that counts on Sunday. We all know only one game this week that matters at all.
I think Liverpool 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, I think it's be 3-1.
I reckon, like I said, I don't see us keeping a clean sheet, especially if Maguire starts. But I reckon it'll be a 1-0, like a 1-goal advantage. And I reckon it's either a 2-1. 2-1's the most common scoreline in football history. So either probably a 2-1 or a crazy 3-2. Maybe a
Yeah.
4. Let's see. But yeah, I think that both sides will score, hopefully. At least United, hopefully, not you lot. But I just don't see you lot not scoring against this
I
team.
think it's I think it's Liverpool scores their first goal. I think it's gonna be like a 4 minute in, like Luis Diaz, like some sort of like breakaway. And then I think that like you guys score right before halftime, and then you go into locker room
That sounds very
1-1,
realistic. Yeah, that sounds very possible.
and then we scored 52, and then we scored like 76. That's what I'm thinking. But like, if I get this on the money, that'll be phenomenal. But doesn't that sound realistic? Does that sound like something cool
The
that happen?
timestamps of like 52, 76, 1-1 at half time. It's fairly reasonable assumptions, but it's Old Trafford. Ten Hag needs a win. There's no fucking way we don't have. We have to beat you lot, and hopefully convincingly. Like if he starts De Ligt, Agate, Garnacho, plays Xerxes up top, we just fucking go for it.
Yeah,
Home fans on our side. Ten Hag, riles the crowd up a little bit. Especially if like we win our battles. De Ligt wins the first header in the air. We're just Ugarte's a beast in midfield. Like if we just fucking go for it, if we pussy out and we play these weak cunts again, like I have this weird thing where like I think our season's actually going to start after the international break. Like we're going to have a settled team and we're just going to start going for it. But it's too little, too late. You would have potentially lost 6 points by then
oh,
against
I
Brighton.
completely agree. You guys are gonna start getting the format for the international. So I have one more topic I want to bring up, but
Yeah,
before that, just a funny thing. Like one thing that sucks as an American football fan are the rights, because I'm pretty sure for EPL you just turn on Sky News and it's there, but like for Americans, it's every game is a negotiation to try to find out how to watch this game. It's the most annoying thing in the world. Yeah, because like you have Peacock, you have NBC. But like one thing that happened last weekend is the Liverpool game was on Telemundo and it was in Spanish. The funny thing is, I'm in Paraguay and I was watching it on ESPN International in English. So I was talking to my friend who was supposed to be on yesterday, but wasn't able to, and he was watching it in America in Spanish, and I was watching it in Paraguay in English.
so
um,
what's funny is actually you guys everywhere else in the world we can watch all the games. We can't in England. So there's a specific rule. So Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs. There's usually about 5 of them every week. 4 or 5 games will be 3 p.m. kickoffs on Saturday. Those games are blacked out on TV. You cannot watch them anywhere on TV unless you have like a dodgy box or something, which if the government
why?
don't do that. So it's just like hundreds-year-old rule to protect stadium attendances. They wanted not all the games shown on television. They were afraid if every game was available on TV, match attendances would be affected negatively.
I fucking hate that, man. I
And
hate.
they've just kept that rule. So, and what's crazy is growing up, like we'd have a show called Gillette Soccer Saturday, and there was this
Yeah,
legendary host, Jeff Stelling. The guy I sent you videos of Chris Kamara when he doesn't know who's been sent off, Jeff Stelling, these boys. This was like
yeah,
my whole childhood growing up, and it was brilliant. A, because they're super funny, and B, Man United used to do really well in those years. Like it'd suck if they were rubbish. So that was
yeah.
your childhood. Was like, all right, Saturdays from 12 midday, because the coverage started at midday, even though the game kicked off at 3. From 12 to 6 p.m. every Saturday religiously, you're glued in front of the TV, just reading updates and waiting for these guys that don't really know how to pay attention to
Yeah.
fucking give you a score update. Oh, so and so scored. It's 1-0. And the last gasp winners used to be the best. Like it's 0-0. It's like 1-1. You think your team's gonna drop points. All of a sudden, somebody scored. Who is it, Cammy? And you get fucking, oh, it's what 2-1 to United, and you just lose your head, and it makes your whole weekend. So those are the
Yeah,
golden
dude, England just has so many fucking crazy laws, man. Like it's really turning into a fucking police state there. You have to
days.
get out.
We
Yeah,
just been
yeah,
told, honestly, we've just been told by the shithead prime minister today that in October, the budget comes out in October. He said, expect some shit. Taxes are going to go, expect some pain.
I also saw something that like they're paying for migrants to
Oh
like
yeah,
resettle. Like it's craziness.
dude.
But it's a good transition to my last topic, which was um Haterade crossover episode.
Yes,
What did you think?
I liked it. I actually had more. I was thinking about more topics literally today when I got back from playing football and I was jumping in the shower. I was like, oh, there's a few more things I could talk about the next one. So as long as you
Yeah,
lot keep it down, like I'm happy to jump in. I thought it was. It took me a while to get into the flow of it. The first 10 minutes, if I'm not lying, and then you kind of just get used to it. I
yeah.
thought it flowed pretty nicely. Vijay was a fan as well. I mean, what did you think? Like,
No, I agree. I mean, so one thing for me, I realized afterwards, this always happens after we record. I realized I was really tired. And like when my energy is off, like when my energy is on, I can kind of like bring everyone with me. And I think that's kind of why the flow was off, was because we were just, it was the first time all three of us
yeah,
together. Me
yeah.
and VJ, our first haterade, like, we weren't completely sure. So, I thought it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. Like I want to do more crossovers. I want to do more haterades. Um, but people who are still listening, if there's anybody still listening, we're gonna be bringing out some guests in the coming weeks. I know we keep on promising it, but we're actually gonna do it.
Apologies, yesterday I just got back so late from Liverpool. I think I got home at like 2 a.m. and it was like Jesus. I just had to crash. I had an early start today as well, so it was a bit tough. But
Yeah,
next
no.
Monday I have absolutely nothing going on. Please feel free to get your friends on. Let's yeah. It'll be
So
interesting
next week,
finishing fresh off the Sunday game. So one of us is going to be
next week
upset.
is Labor Day.
Ah, okay, so that's fine then. So we can move it whenever
Yeah.
he's available. We can move it around. Maybe we
And
need a day. Maybe we take a day in between that game. Actually, maybe it might be a bit fresher. Maybe we take.
yeah, he has kids also, so he can't
Oh,
like
fair enough. Oh, fair
Labor
enough.
Day. But like one thing that's also happening is like um my so in Formula One, the season is just completely imploding for my team. It's
Oh,
completely
really?
imploding. It is
They were in the
smoke.
Netherlands last week, right? It was in the Netherlands, the Dutch Grand Prix, right?
Yeah, and our Dutch driver came in second by 22 seconds, which like
Verstappen's Dutch.
yeah.
Oh, that tells you how much I know. Okay.
And usually you win by like 1 second, 2 seconds. He lost by 22 seconds.
Who won?
So
Don't tell me Hamilton won.
no, it's Lando Norris, but like that's the guy we really want to beat. So we have a 70-point lead in the championship right now. If Lando Norris wins every single race and Max Verstappen comes in second, he'll only win by 5 points. The problem is you also get a point for fastest lap. So if Lando Norris wins every race and gets fastest lap, we lose the championship.
How,
So
how many races are left? Is it 5 races left?
it's 9 races.
Oh, so he'll just be fast on 5 of them and then win the rest. Shit.
And his machinery is just so much better than ours this year. So anyway, so Formula One is imploding in front of my eyes. So I'm going to really get hard into football this year.
It was a distraction, yeah. I'm keeping one eye on like a bunch of MMA and UFC results. I'm like, all right, not that I'm always not always into it, but I'm like, all right, if United start fucking up early in the season, I need my backup sports.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, I'm still gonna watch every race, but like, I'm gonna be upset on Sundays. But
You and
anyway, yeah,
you and Chris should do another catch up on that. I learned a lot from watching that last one. You guys should
we
run one back.
we should. I mean, like, it's always tough with people with kids. You know what I mean?
Of course,
I mean,
yeah.
people who don't know who did watch Haterade. I'm seeing this girl and like we're like in a studio, and so it's really hard for me to record because it's like if I had my own room, I could like sneak away. I don't
Yeah.
even think I could because she'll just like she's like a fucking cat. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what are you doing? But no, I'm moving to a new place in 2 days, so we'll have like more of a setup, and like I'll get Chris back on, and we'll do a whole thing.
Okay.
All right, dude, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll let you get back now. I don't want you getting in too much trouble.
I'm already in a lot of trouble, but hopefully not too much. But next Sunday, are we texting or are we not texting?
I don't speak to anyone before the game. I might talk to you after the game. I'm not going to be a cunt. If you lot do get a result, like congrats on the result because you're the more reasonable one. But I've had people since last week telling me Sunday's coming, Sunday's coming. I'm gonna have to like, I can't
Oh
even.
no,
They'll come to my house.
I hate
I have
that
to
shit.
find. I have to find a low key bar somewhere out of town and just have to go there and watch it and suffer, and then come back to civilization.
For
after.
me, what I always do is I will do an incredible amount of shit talking during the game until the 80th minute, and then I usually stop.
Right.
Win, lose, draw, I kind of stop around that point, and then like 5 minutes after the game, I'll do that. Good game.
Yeah.
Whatever happens. So I might text you during the game, I might not, but like after the game, I'll obviously be respectful because
Oh,
I hate people who are cunty about that too. Oh, we're talking like last week about the fucking bartender. You know,
yeah.
don't let a loss destroy your game. Fuck you.
100.
Anyway, talk to you next week.
She's still there. Lo siento. Sorry. It was my fault. She's there. Sorry about that.
All right,
Enjoy
dude.